Thank you to Yanmar for bringing us this video series. Don't settle for less when you can have more. Yanmar's tractors are designed to work as hard as you do for a lifetime. Strengthen your dealership with Yanmar today.
So let's talk about service processes. Here's some I've outlined. These are definitely not all of them. Brian has like 3 pages of them. But I want to walk through these just real quick. And then as you guys think about this, so if you're in the service side of things, we're going to have you in a little bit get together in a round table and talk about some of these. So again, so in service, I always look at service like a pit stop in NASCAR. Anybody a NASCAR fan? Okay, all right. So I'm a NASCAR fan, all right. Is the pit stop an important part of the race? Is the pit stop the critical part of the race? I tell people again, so how quick does a pit stop happen in a NASCAR race if it's a good pit stop? A couple minutes? They pull the, yeah, it's measured in seconds, and 12 to 13 seconds is a 13 second is an average pit stop. A 12 second pit stop will put you 3 lengths in front of the last guy out there, and you'll probably win the race. So your pit stop is everything. What happens during a pit stop? Do they have processes at a pit stop? You have anybody at the pit stop going, oh damn, where's the fuel can? Oh, where's the jack? Oh no, somebody left the impact wrench over there behind that. Does that happen at a pit stop? No, everything is what? Everything that they need is there. And everybody has an assigned what? The tire guy is not fueling the car. The guy that's adjusting the suspension, right, is not putting the tires on. They have tire guys, they have fuel guys, they have jack guys, they have wrench guys. Everybody has a job. And do they practice what they do during the race? No. When it's slow, we're working on our what? On our pit stops. We're practicing it when we're slow. When we work in dealerships and it's slow, and this is the time of year a lot of my dealerships slow, they go, well, our guys, we don't triage during the winter time because we just don't have that much stuff come in. You always triage. I don't care if there's one piece of equipment that comes in a day, you triage it. Why do you do it? Because you're practicing your what? You're practicing so that when the race comes on, we're used to doing what? We're used to doing it. People say, well, do we pay bonuses to technicians when it's slow and there's only a couple of jobs a day? Absolutely, you pay them bonuses because we want to keep practicing on so when the season does hit, all of my people are really tuned into doing what? You say, well, we pay out more than we should. Yeah, that's true, but I'm getting my pit crew ready for what? Season. How many people in here know when season's going to start? How many people have a rough estimate by month? Okay, but none of us really know, right? I mean, you know, season in the world that you guys all play in can happen. Maybe it's going to happen in April, right? But it could happen the end of March because all of a sudden we had a real warm trend, or it could happen over here. I tell people we've got to be prepared because we never know when the race is going to start in this business. We've got to make sure we're constantly working on our people to move those things forward. So again, so this is our process. How do you check it in? In our system, we use ribbons. We have red ribbons and blue ribbons and green ribbons and yellow ribbons and white ribbons and black ribbons, or actually red and black with a stripe on it. So everything in ours has a ribbon on it. Where do you put the equipment at? Brian, as he was working with the dealership at Passmore out there, as he was working with that at Passmore, he would go back again and they were working with the loading their shop. How many of you at night when you load your shop is all back full of equipment again? Okay, so most of my dealerships are. And I always laughed. They said, well, our shop is different, Bob. And I always laugh. And I said, well, how's your shop different? Well, at night, we have to pull everything in. Wow. I said, every shop that we work in has to pull everything in. For the most part, the shop is loaded. I said, the challenge is you're not pulling it in with any type of plan. I said, so what's the first thing that should be loaded in a shop at night when you reload your shop at night? All the work that your technicians are going to start on the next morning, right? My technicians don't help unload the shop. My technicians, the moment they come in the morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning, they clock on and they start doing what? I don't need a technician driving a piece of equipment out and putting it outside. I need a technician to do what? What do I pay technicians to do? Turn wrenches. What do you pay surgeons to do? Check the patient in? Make sure their insurance is correct? No. Just go into the operating room and we'll do what? I'll just bring you what? I'll just bring you patients. I got service coordinators who can move stuff out. So, well, it's going to take them an hour and a half to get it out. Doesn't make any difference to me, right? They already had the shop set. First 2 hours of the morning, they don't really have anything to do anyway because they set the shop the night before. They can move the stuff out. What's the last thing you load in the shop? So the first thing you load in the shop as you're reloading your shop at night is the stuff the technicians are going to work on the next morning. What's the last thing you put in your shop? What you're going to deliver the next day, right? So when the guy that's going to do your pickup and delivery comes in, we move all that stuff out into an area that's all together in one spot. So when he gets his truck, he doesn't have to search all over the lot to find out what he's going to deliver. It's where? It's here. And how do we know it's there? Because that was the last thing that we put in. We got with the service manager or service writer, looked at what was going to be delivered the next day, and we make that the last thing we put in our shop, and then when we do it, we move it over by the dock or the ramp or wherever it is like that. So as we take it out of the shop, he's there. This young guy, Brian's about 50 years old, that was their pickup and delivery guy. He normally left at about 9:15 in the morning when he came in at 8 because it was took him that much time to find everything and get it together. His first day after our process, in 15 minutes he had his truck loaded and was out. In 15 minutes. Because we did what? We had it staged correctly. Okay, we had it staged. And people go like, well, how I didn't think about this? Because you're thinking about a million other things. We do diagnostics, right? Then we go through and we have to figure out, so we do what we call triaging. It's like a person at an accident site, so we look at everything. When it comes in, we start making an evaluation. If I have a piece of equipment that needs a part that I know I probably won't have in stock, but I'm not going to work on that piece of equipment for a week, should I go ahead and get that part coming in for it? Yes, because if I do it a week in advance, I can do it as a part of a stocking order. If I do it tomorrow when I need it, what are you going to have to do as a parts manager? You're going to have to pay freight on it. So I tell people, again, my job in the shop is to give the parts department 3 or 4 days notice before I need anything, so the parts department has time to get it in a normal stocking order. Or maybe you've got a manufacturer out there that you have to pay freight on anything that's less than $250, and so my parts manager can go ahead and build an order that's going to be right, so we can still get free freight on it from that standpoint. Work orders are always going to be in 2 conditions in a shop: estimates or pull parts. So we separate those out as a part of the process. We give the parts department the work orders to process. If it's pull parts, they go ahead and start pulling the parts for it, put it in tubs, and stage it back in my shop for my technicians. If it's an estimate, they go through and they do an estimate on it, and then they'll feed it back to the service manager or service writer to put an estimate on it. By the way, when we do estimates, we don't estimate every little part. We estimate the main components and add 30%, because there are times where an estimate won't come together, and I don't want you to spend 35 or 40 minutes as a parts person doing an estimate that we're not going to ultimately end up doing. So I tell all of my people, take the big components, estimate those, add 30% to that to cover all the stuff that you didn't estimate, and so you got 5 minutes doing an estimate instead of 30 or 40 minutes. How many in here are in parts? How many of you guys ever spent time doing an estimate that never ended up coming together? And you spend 30 minutes doing it, and they say, well, they're not going to do it now. Right? You can't spend 30 minutes doing something that doesn't end up happening, because how many people as parts people find that you have lots of extra time anyway during season? Got nothing going on, right? So anyway, so that's a part of what we do. We stage the parts, we stage the equipment, the service techs do the work, and then we follow up with the customer. We don't follow up with every customer. We only follow up with customers who we did big jobs on. So if it's just a basic service, I'm not going to call the customer on it. But if the customer just spent $3,000 on something that was a complex repair, are we going to follow up with that customer? And I had a technician say, well, if we do that, what happens if something's wrong? Well, damn, isn't that what we're trying to fix? If something's wrong, we don't want that to go out of our shop, right? We want to have it do what? Come back. I want to know. I want the customer to be happy, because I'm a big believer that the easiest way to grow your business is to have a phenomenal shop. People buy from the slick salesperson the first time, they buy from the shop the second, third, fourth, and fifth time. On the same token, if you have a great salesperson that sells something and we screw it up in the shop, they won't come back and do business with us again. So I tell people again, the shop is a vital part of that.